Wow. Okay. Well, I just witnessed probably one of the greatest weeks in post 1950 modern graded coins, bar none, in quite some time. And we're going to talk about it today. And I couldn't, you couldn't have scripted this any more perfect. This is the best absolute way to end a month as far as Monday market reports go. Seeing as how this is the last one for the month, all right, and the last one for 2 weeks, because I'm going to be in the Tulsa, Oklahoma coin show and meet and greet soiree with all of the big coin YouTubers. Yeah, I'll be there. Hopefully some of you will make it down there. But yeah, pretty insane. This is probably one of the craziest weeks that I have had in quite some time. I would say the one really underperforming denomination is nickels this week. And that says a lot. Nickels isn't usually the most underperforming. Dimes even showed up nickels. And not just any dimes, Roosevelt dimes. We had 3 Roosevelt dimes that accumulated for a total of $10,000. That beat out nickels this week. It's pretty crazy. And yeah, I'm happy to talk about this one. So, welcome to the Monday Market Report. We're going to look at some closing auctions here on Sunday from greatcollections.com. And all graded coins, a lot of registry stuff, the same old narrative, but new market data. I mean, so much for a summer slowdown. That's all I got to say. I'm going to let the results speak for themselves. How about we just go ahead and jump right into this list this week? We got 23 coins to talk about. How about a 1992 D Lincoln Memorial Cent? This puppy looked like it just came out of change yesterday, and it circulated every bit of the last 31 years. Look at this thing. PCGS AU55 grade, obviously. I mean, this thing is not a perennial rock star when it comes to numerical grade, let's be honest. However, there's no denying that this is, no doubt about it, one of the richest coin finds that you could look for out there in circulation, and that's the Close AM variety, also known as the FS901, in the Cherry Picker's Guide. Now, the good news is, this can be found on the Philadelphia and the Denver minted coins, okay? The U.S. Mint inadvertently used a reverse die that was intended for the proof coins. And the proof coins had the Close AM reverse as the natural, regular die setup. So, yeah, shame on them for doing this, because now collectors can make a grip of cash if they're able to find one. And even in this condition, folks, this is a very valuable coin. Now, this one right here, in this beautiful AU55 beat-up brown condition coin, still ended up selling for $1,125. So, there you go. These things are still worth fighting for. They're still worth looking for. And apparently, they're still worth grading, even in this condition. The next one that we have here is a far departure from the previous coin. And don't worry, it's not a Close AM, but it is a high-grade registry coin. It is the top pop graded 92D, same date, same mint mark as the Close AM we just looked at before it. PCGS assigned a grade of mid-state 69 red on this bad boy. And there's like a small handful of them that have graded out 69. Now keep in mind, 92D, they made a buttload of these. Hundreds of millions, if not over a billion, if not over 2 billion of this particular date. They made so many of these, but the mere fact that only maybe 3 or 4 of them exist in mid-state 69 kind of tells you the story of how crappy the quality was of these coins. So this one right here ended up selling for $3,712.50. Another big time, big dollar coin here this week. But wait, there's more. We also have this 1989D, very similar to the other coin that we saw about a week ago. 1989D, folks. Mint State 69 red, which is just an obscene grade for some of these modern dated coins. Again, you would love to think that the quality is out of this world, but it just wasn't. It wasn't the best. It wasn't up to what it's lived up to be, even in a much more modern, technologically advanced age we're living in, and especially with the U.S. Mint and all of the financial resources they have at their fingertips. There's just no excuse that they can't crank out Mint State 69 and 70s on a regular basis. However, we are living in a world where there's still human error. And that plays a lot into why these coins don't exist at this grade level. Now, this one right here ended up corralling up $8,718.76 worth of bidding activity. That was the final hammer price on this one. But if you think that's ridiculous, 1984 Lincoln Memorial Cent. But this is the big double deer, or DDO number 1, or the FS 101. This is the big double to die for this state. And we have another monster here for you. Now, this one is NGC graded, not PCGS. I don't think PCGS would have assigned a 69 red to this coin. That's just me. But anyways, here it is in the flesh. Sort of fleshy because, they're Zinkins. But this is a coin that I prophesized about 5 years ago as being one that's going to explode in value, along with the 83 double die reverse. And here we are. We're left with another monster. This one sold very closely to the 89D we just saw. $8,718.76. It sold for 1 penny more than that 89D. Now, if we were going to look at apples to apples, 89D versus this coin, I would probably opt for the 84 double deer. All right. Varieties in a shell just command a lot more desirability on the secondary market, because if another 69 red in that 89D comes out, that's just going to diminish the overall value of that coin. All right. We know this. This is a law of supply and demand. And, once you keep pumping out more supply out there, the demand for them will dwindle, because there's a very elite group of people who do these registry sets, participate in them. And they have deep pockets, but it's a finite amount. They have kind of their financial requirements, their budgets when it comes to these coins still. Like, I'm not saying that this isn't going to be the case, but the 89D, you think somewhere down the line when the first Mint State 70 pops out, it's only a matter of when, not if. Do you think a realistic price to pay for that coin's $50,000? Probably not. All right, just because of what it is. Now, 100 years from now, when a lot of these coins have melted away, over time, because that's just the composition they are, then we might be talking a different tune. But up until then, we're just going to enjoy these coins for what they are. Modern marvels of mint screw-ups. And I couldn't be any more happy to talk about them. And the same with this one here, too. We just talked about it a second ago. 1983 Lincoln Memorial doubled die reverse. I mean, the doubling on the reverse just hits you like a ton of bricks. It's very strong, powerful. It's one of the strongest that you will see. Okay, it's probably the strongest double die reverse that you will ever come across. This one right here, another graded monster. Mint State 68 plus full red. Top grade that you will ever come across. This thing right here was one, again, like the 84 double deer. This is one of the coins that I prophesized would go up in value during the pandemic, and it sure as heck did. It went from a coin that, even in just very pedestrian Mint State 64 grades, you could have gotten for $100, $125, and they've shot all the way up to like $400 or $500 in that grade. So what did that do to all the other grades? All right, everything went up. It's the rising tides. Lifts all the ships up too. And it certainly did for this particular date and variety. So this one right here, one of our biggest coins of the week, ended up hammering at $21,937.50. That's the kind of money that will save a lot of people. If you're in a financial hardship right now, man, $22,000 would go a long way. And then there came this thing right here. It's just a good old-fashioned 1982 Lincoln Memorial set. No, it's not some weird, underhanded, transitional copper error. Okay, none of that stuff. You don't see a Denver mint mark on this one. This is just a small date, 1982, zinc. This is a copper-coated zinc composition. So just based off of that information alone, it's like, wow, what's so special about this? Well, this is the one coin that's really hard to find above Mint State 67. You ask any Lincoln Cent registry set owner, and you say, what is one of the more modern scarcities out there in grades above this line? It's going to be the 82 small date zinc-in. The composition sucks. You usually see a lot of plating blisters on these things. This one is quite clean, and as you can tell, it earned a Mint State 69 red grade. So obviously the sales price would have been just through the moon, and it was $15,973.88. I think it went beyond the moon. It's probably sitting on Mars somewhere, and we're talking about the price because that's how monstrous this thing was. And then we have a couple other odds and ends in the Lincoln Cent series, and I just want to let you guys know, the list of Lincoln Cents that I talked about this week never went beyond 1959, which means we didn't talk about a wheat cent backs or wheatbacks, that design. So we have another big variety, 1972, double to die obverse. This is the FS 101. This one needs no introduction. Mint State 67 plus full red was the assigned grade for this particular specimen that ended up selling for $9,450, and that grade and that coin, ladies and gentlemen, doubled in value in the last 5 years. Again, coin market's not really suffering, much like sports cards and comic books and all the other collectibles indices are right now. Now, the 72 FS101 is the most impressive double to die from a visual standpoint, but as far as rarity, did you guys know that there's like 9 or so mainline Cherry Picker's Guide varieties for 72? And one of them just so happens to be one that it's like finding a needle in a haystack. If you went through 100,000 Lincoln Cents, you will probably not find this. The odds are astronomically long to even find one that's in just average grade. But to find one that's in Mint State 66 like this, it's just through the roof. The numbers, everything is so skewed with this one. It's the FS104. It's probably one of the least spectacular double to dies for 1972. But yet, here it is. The most scarcest, rarest, white whale, unicorn, pink elephant, whatever you want to call this thing. This is the scarcest 72 double to die. I think your best doubling is on the motto "In God We Trust," and even still, you're going to need the Hubble telescope to look at that. It's that unimpressive. So this one right here, ladies and gentlemen, in the 66, I think this is the finest grade, and there's like only one or two that grades above 64. That's how rare these are. This one sold for $21,811.50. So do you guys get the big picture? We've only been through the first like 8 coins of this list, and it is one of the most absurd lists that I've ever talked about, short of the Stuart Blay Lincoln Cent collection. But Stuart Blay assembled his full red set from 1909 all the way up till the memorial dates over the course of decades. We're talking about coins from the last 30, 40 years here. How about 69D, right? The redheaded stepchild of the earlier dates. This coin gets no love, all right? And people mock it for having the floating roof and the missing initials. And still calls it, the best sundae ever served with a cherry on top. I just don't get it. Now, yet, We have a fine graded example here as a Mid-State 67 Plus full red. And this one ended up selling for $7,031.25. Again, the money is just flying this week. And we're like days away from the month of July. Where's the slowdown? There's no slowdown. Look, there's 63D. For the longest time, this used to not exist in 67. Up until about maybe 7 years ago. When the first 67 hit the market, it sold for over $10,000. Well, there's been a few of them that have graded as 67 since then. Here's another one right here. Still a rarity, there's not too many of them. This one sold for $9,450. Glad to see this one still has some pretty nice staying power. But when the next one comes out in the marketplace, will it still be $9,000? I don't know. We'll see. But still, a very ridiculous rarity for a grade. Okay, so now the nickels have a tough act to follow. The nickels were not that impressive. There were a few standouts. Obviously, when you have a coin dated 1999, that makes you it gives you cause to pause. Using a little Stephen A. Smith analogy there. 1999 Philadelphia Jefferson nickel, very well struck, as most of them were when they first released. You could still find BU rolls of this with really nice steps. Mid-State 67 full steps. Again, this just shows the crazy absurdness of the registry set. $1,266.75. Moving on, 1984D. Again, another date that traditionally doesn't have the best strikes, but this one looks pretty good. Mid-State 67 with full steps. Again, another coin that's a necessity for many Jefferson nickel purists in the hobby that's looking for strike quality. $2,556.99. Okay, we're going to keep going. 1970S, which is a kind of semi-tough date. All right, we're beyond like 1968 and 69, which coins in like the same grade with full steps is worth about probably 15 to 20 grand. And then they only go up from there if you're able to hit 67. So here's a 70S. The quality gets a little bit better. The luster still isn't that great. Mid-State 66 full steps, and this one sold for $1,968.75. Well, not too bad, it just kind of highlights that the quality does indeed get a little bit better beyond 1970. And this is one of those cases where full steps isn't nearly as impossible as some people realize for this date. 1956, not traditionally known for its crazy wild strike, but the luster is pretty decent on there. Okay, this one's just okay. I mean, probably in hand, it might show the full steps. The pictures kind of, show the contrary here. Not completely knocking great collections because they do a stand-up job with their imaging. But I'm willing to bet that this coin paints a different picture when you're looking at it through different angles of light. I'm just saying. So this one sold for $1,575. Just a kind of okay average sale. I've seen better. I think 67 pluses kind of pushed the envelope with this date. And 44D. I mean, if we're going to talk about one coin that I like, above and beyond all the other nickels today, it's going to be anything Silver War nickel with a particularly just stamped strong hard strike like this one here, like most of them are. Okay, the nickels of the Silver Wartime era were really well struck, and they have really strong luster. You're generally not going to find too much issues finding a well struck example. Okay, the only difference maker are the steps clean enough for you to grade them. Okay, they can be marginal sometimes. So this 44D grades out Mid-State 68 full steps. I mean, it's a great looking coin. I love this thing. $5,906.25. Again, these will be popular till the end of time. These are a modern necessity for a lot of new collectors today. And people won't have a problem, looking to spend a few $100, $300, $400, $500 for a pleasing, well-to-do set that's just going to enhance in value over time. All right, so now we're on to Roosevelt dimes. And the dimes out of the three, that, I mean, we could have put more in here. But, you know, I didn't want this to be a 30 coin MMR. I've never hit that milestone before. We have 23 today, by the way. 1950 AD, again, not a date that you would consider to be like a top echelon made for the MMR type of example. However, we have a great blend of this original crusty coloring, lots of moss green and things like that, which is quite desirable to collectors. But again, the registry set opportunity here just cannot be ignored. Mid-State 68 full bands, so it's got a really nice strike on the reverse. $2,531.25. I'm sorry to say that that's kind of like the low bar of the dimes today. This one is a particular monster because it is the key date. I think the 49S is the key date of the series. You know, some people say, well, the mintages are quite low on the 55s. All of them. PD and S. I'm like, yeah, well, people hoarded those when they first came out. Barely any of them circulated. So they're really easy to find in mint-state condition. But 49S, however, nobody really cared. Everybody was handling these like crazy. So this is a Daniel Biddle collection, you know, a well-known Roosevelt dime enthusiast who had a monstrous registry. Here's one of his coins. A mid-state 67 plus full bands is as tough as it sounds. Please don't let me not pull the light struck by lightning conversation out of my pocket, because I could do that if you want like a comparison. $3,937.50 was a sale on this one. And then we also have this one as well, just a plain Jane 47. It's a Philadelphia struck coin. Again, the toning really lends a lot of originality here. This is what they call that original skin, you know, plus it's got that hazy white all throughout, the milky white haze. Again, that's that skin that's developed over many decades. I guarantee you this thing was never dipped at a one point. So this is a mint-state 68 full bands, toned, $3,206.25. And then we're going to end things off on a quintuple. I had to get that right? 5 Washington quarters, a quintuplet of craziness here. Like, yeah, this one's crazy. It's only a 97p, right? I mean, this is a coin that I spent and saved and pushed into arcade machines, you know, 26 years ago. I can't even believe that's 26 years ago. Mid-State 68 is a really tough grade. I mean, look how clean this one is. There's nary a mark or nick anywhere on the fields or on Washington's profile or on the eagle. That's how good it is. $3,600 for this one. Coin that's barely 25 years old. And Bicentennial, good old drummer boy making an appearance. Glad to see this. Mid-State 68's a grade on this, and they had to put its clad, so it's copper nickel. It's got a little bit of what I call album toning on there. So it's mostly a hazy yellow pastel with little hints of pink in there. Very attractive coin. $4,988.24. Again, as a standalone, this is a very popular coin. But when it comes to registry set, I mean, no person that popularizes this coin is going to generally go out of their way to spend $5,000 for one of these. You know, and that's where the registry set, you know, becomes an unfair advantage to a lot of like regular collectors that want, you know, a great graded coin. 55D, again, one of the long expressed rarities in grades of 67. Always has been, always will. But prices have come down a little bit on these. These used to be in the 67, an $8,000 to $10,000 coin, and it's not there anymore. That's fine. Although this one here has that original thick gunmetal skin to it. Very attractive coin. Mid-State 67, of course. $4,962.38, which, by the way, is what's sold for less than the Bicentennial we just talked about. And another really tough one here, a 1950S, is a tough date. When it comes to graded rarities, this one is high atop a mountain. Because it is San Francisco, and they're not generally this clean. Very crusty, a lot of original toning. PCGS assigned a grade of mid-state 68, and it's got a CAC green bean on there, which, as if it needs that. But it certainly doesn't hurt, especially the final hammer, which ended up being $7,031.25. And if I had to pick one last coin to talk about, because there was a good probably 8 to 10 other Washington quarters that I could have pushed into this particular slot. This is the 23rd coin, by the way. Hopefully you liked a little bit more expedient nature of this video. I could have pushed it to 30, 32 minutes. A 36 Washington quarter business strike, mid-state 68 with a little bit of toning that is kind of hit or miss to me. I'm not a big fan of brown, poopy looking color on this. It's the grade though. $14,062.50 was the final sale price of this. I do apologize in advance to all the people that wanted to see a Kennedy half dollar or a Nike dollar or something to that effect. It's just, the list is stupid long this week, and I wanted to take the opportunity to talk about the big standouts here with these, and then we could possibly do a part 2 somewhere later on down the line. But there you go. That's the Monday market report for the end of June, folks. Yeah, so much for taking a vacation and going out to Hawaii or Havana or wherever and, sipping on a cocktail on the beach. That's just not happening. People are still pumping money into this crazy coin market we're in. But that's it. That's going to do it for this one. I'm your host, Sean, with Blue Ridge Silverhound. Have a great start to your week. I'll see you guys in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We'll see you in 2 weeks for another MMR. And that's going to go ahead and do it. I'm going to get out of here so that way I can let you guys have back the weekend and the week. And I'll see you next time.